All right, so I've started the recording. So we were talking about this matrix concept, which is nothing but a two-dimensional array, right? It can be represented like this, right? It is containing multiple different rows and columns. In this case, 3 rows and 3 columns, right? We have a matrix. We can also represent generally. We can represent it like this, right? A matrix with m rows and n columns, right? Where m is nothing but number of rows and n is nothing but number of columns. Is that fine with everyone till this point? If this is fine, can anyone tell me what is an identity matrix? I think many of us have already heard of this identity matrix, right? Even in these sessions, we have seen it. Identity matrix. Yes, correct, guys. So identity matrix is the matrix, right? Which looks like this. Maybe let me represent this identity matrix with this I, right? And maybe I'll put 1, 0, 0, 1, right? What is the shape of this matrix? What is the shape of this matrix? 2 cross 2, correct. 2 cross 2, right? So 2 number of rows and 2 number of columns, right? And do you see that the diagonal elements, right? All the diagonal elements in this matrix are nothing but 1. What is the diagonal element? So let me try to maybe put indexes to all the rows and columns, right? So these are the diagonal elements that you see over here, right? These are the diagonal elements where I is equal to j, right? In this case, I is nothing but the row index, j is nothing but the column index, right? So we are saying that a matrix, right? A matrix I is a diagonal matrix, is a identity matrix if the element at ith and jth location, right? So ith row and jth column, right? Ith row and jth column is equal to 1, is equal to 1. In which case should it be equal to 1? The element in this I matrix should be equal to 1 in which case? If anyone, I is equal to j, right? Yes or no? Are you all able to understand this? If I and j are equal, then only it should be equal to 1. I equal to j, then only it should be equal to 1. Making sense? Yes or no? Everyone? Perfect. Otherwise, what should be the case? Otherwise it should be 0, right? Otherwise, it should be equal to 0. Now, how many are able to understand this thing? Aishwarya, Anamika, Ankita, Aarti, are you all able to understand this? Nice. All right. Perfect. Now the next thing, what is the other property of identity matrix? There is one more property. That property is number of rows in the identity matrix should be equal to number of columns. Which means that it should be a square matrix, right? Number of rows and number of columns should be equal, right? Which means it should be a square matrix. Making sense to everyone, right? So these are the two things you need to consider, right? Whenever you whenever you talk about identity matrix, you should consider these things, right? And there is one property of identity matrix. The major property of identity matrix is nothing but something like this. Do you know in mathematics, if you have 3, right? If you have 3, can I write 3 is nothing but equal to 3 cross 1? Can I write this thing? Is it really a case where 3 into 1, if I try to do this, it is going to be equal to 3 itself, right? Can I also write 1 into 3 also equal to 3? Right? So in order to make something like this, we have identity matrix in mathematics in this topic. Okay. So what you can do is, let's say you have any matrix A. If you have any matrix A, you can write that A into I. If you try to do matrix multiplication between A matrix and I matrix, I is nothing but the identity matrix, and the shape of I is going to be the number of columns in A. Right? Whatever number of columns you have in A, that will be the shape of I. Okay. If you try to maybe multiply these two matrix, you are going to get A as a result, which is also equal to I into A. I matrix multiplication with A, it is all equal. Yes, Lucifer. Is it clear to everyone? Right now, similarly, there are couple of what do we say, operations that everyone should understand. There is something called as matrix addition. matrix addition. Now, what is matrix addition? Matrix addition is nothing but, let's say if we have a matrix A, let's say it contains 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say we have a matrix B, which contains maybe, let's say 10, 11, 12, 11, 12, and 13. Let's say these are the two matrices. Let me try to rewrite 11. So 11 and 12 and 13. So what will be if I want to do A plus B? Can anyone tell me the output? How should I add these two matrices? First of all, this A is having 2 cross 2 shape. B is having again 2 cross 2 shape. Yes, the corresponding, there should be element wise addition, right? There should be element wise addition. So 1 will be added with 10, right? 2 will be added with 11, so which is nothing but 13. 3 should be added with 12, which is nothing but 15. 4 should be added with 13, which is nothing but 17. Yes, correct, Yash. So it is going to be again 2 cross 2 matrix. Now let's do one more example. Let's try to solve one more example. Let's try to do, let's say A equal to maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Let's say these are all the elements in A. Let's take B equal to 1, 2. Now, can you tell me what is the output of A plus B? Manasa, maybe day after tomorrow. Maybe day after tomorrow. I have to look into it if I will be teaching that thing or not. But most probably day after tomorrow. Okay. So people are saying it is not possible. Can you tell me the reason? What is the shape of this A matrix? What is the shape of A? Yes, correct, correct. What is the shape of A? Yes, correct. They don't have the same shape, right? In order to add two matrices, you need to have the matrix with same shape, right? So it is 2 cross 3, 2 rows and 3 columns. It is nothing but 2 rows and 1 column, right? So since the shape of the matrix is not same, the element wise addition won't work here in this case of matrix, right? Now we also have something called as matrix multiplication. Now what is matrix multiplication? If I have a matrix A, if I have a matrix B, if I want to multiply these two matrices, what should be the case? The scenario should be, if this matrix is M cross N size, the shape of matrix A is M cross N, then B should be N cross something, and this something can be anything, right? The only thing is this N, the number of columns in A and the number of rows in B should match. Is it making sense to everyone? And the output should be, output in this case is going to be equal to which shape? The output will be equal to M cross P shape. Correct, Avnish. It is going to be M cross P. How many are able to understand these things? I hope everyone knows all these things, right? If there is someone who is not able to understand, maybe this is a good time to tell me. I think everyone has learned all these topics in their maybe +1, +2, or maybe even in colleges, right? Great. Perfect. Yes, correct, Lucifer. So we'll come to that maybe later. Okay. Sandeep will go into the depth of machine learning. So today it is all basics, right? So it is all mathematical stuff today. But even today we'll have some difficult topics. But if you understand all the story, it will feel like a movie, right? So Tony, what I was discussing was, I was only talking about the matrix multiplication. And in this case, we were talking about this thing, that if one matrix is of shape M cross N, the another matrix should be of shape N cross something, right? Because the number of columns here should be equal to number of rows to make these two matrices multiply, right? So in order to make this matrix multiplication, we need to do this thing. We need to make sure of that number of columns here, number of rows here should be equal. And the final product will be equal to C M cross P, where M is this and P is this. Fine. All right. The final topic for matrix is going to be, if I have a matrix A If I take a transpose of this matrix, what will be the output? Let's say if I have a matrix A which looks like this 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I want to take the transpose of this matrix of shape 2 cross 2, what will be the output? Yes, order will be reversed. Correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. The number of rows and number of the rows and columns, they are going to interchange, right? The rows and columns, they are going to interchange. Similarly, if I have a matrix like this 1, 2, 3, right? What is the shape of this matrix? We have only one row and three columns. What will be the output if I try to take the transpose of this matrix? The output will be a single row, single column, right? With three rows. Yes, vertical. Correct. Is it fine with everyone? Yes, correct, Lucifer. All right. Now the next topic. The next topic. If I so in this transpose itself, let's try to look into one more thing. So if I have A plus B, right? If I want to do A plus B, and let's say I want to do A plus B ka transpose, what will be the output? Is there any theorem? Is there anything that that holds true here? Yes, there is something, right? A transpose plus B transpose, it is going to be equal to this, right? A plus B ka transpose is nothing but equal to A transpose plus B transpose. Fine. Perfect. Now the next thing, right? The next thing. So if I have A into B, if I want to do A multiply by B, right? And if I take the transpose of this entire thing, is it equal to A transpose into B transpose? No, right? It is going to be, this is not the case. The output here will be B transpose into A transpose. Yes, correct. Correct. Now, somebody was asking about the application of why we are learning metrics. So, do you remember that when we were talking about something called as data, right? Whenever we talk about something called as data will be present in this terms, in this kind of structure, right? Where we have some columns and where we have some rows. Can you represent the data inside the memory as it is? It is a CSV file or maybe XLSX file, right? We can't represent it. We have to represent it in the form of matrices, right? So we need to know some basic matrix operations, right? So the data in the memory, in the computer memory, in the computer's RAM, right? It is going to be present in the form of a matrix. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. In NumPy, we have NumPy arrays, right? So in computer's memory, this is going to be present in the form of a matrix, right? Do you see that? Let's say if we have some data like this, if we have some CSV file, okay, Dheeraj, I'm explaining that. If we have some CSV file, maybe let me go back to the yesterday's session. Let me pick up some CSV file. Maybe let's say this is the CSV file. All right. So let's say this is the data given to us. All right. So this is the data. Yeah. This is the data given to us. Now, do you see that this is like a CSV file? This is like an Excel file that we have in our computer. Now, in order to store this entire data inside the memory, what will happen is it will get converted, it will get transformed into a matrix. This matrix is going to contain 185, 80, maybe let's say for male we have 0, right? Then 150, 50, female, let's say we are representing female as 1. 155, 50, female is represented as 1, 160, 80, male is represented as 0, 155, 45, female is represented as 1, and then the male is represented as sorry, again, so this is 1, this is 0, right? So 190 and 80. Is it clear now? So this is how in your computer this entire data will be present, right? And normally we are learning something called as pandas, right? So pandas will take care of everything. You don't have to worry about all these things, but normally internally this is how the data will look like. Okay, normally this is the way in which data is going to be represented inside the memory. Is it fine now, Dheeraj? Yes, yes. We have already seen it, right? Dheeraj, we have already seen that pandas internally use something called as NumPy. And NumPy simply tries to transform every data, all the CSV files and everything inside a NumPy ND. NumPy ND. ND means n-dimensional array. In this case, this array is a two-dimensional array, right? Number of rows here is nothing but 6. Number of column here is nothing but 3. Right? All right. Now let's talk about some more complex topics today. Okay, so this is the basic. I wanted to start with something that you already know. Now let's try to talk about a couple of things that you won't know, right? Or that most of the people won't know or won't remember. Let's try to talk about those topics today. Okay. Now the thing that I want to basically start is called as vector calculus or vector algebra, right? First of all, do you remember yesterday at the end of the session, we saw something, right? We saw that whatever data I have, I can represent this data as a, can anyone recall how do I represent this data? How can I represent this entire data? I represented it as a, no. I represented this data as a scatter plot, right? Yes, correct, Avanish. Scatter plot. I created a scatter plot. Remember this now? Yes or no? Right now, let's say there are two dimensions. Let's say there are two dimensions. Let me represent these two dimensions properly. Right, the first dimension is, let's say, x1. The second dimension is, let's say, x2. Right, so if I have a point on this let's say I have some data, right? This is having x1, this is having x2. I have 5 here and maybe let's say 2 here. So what I'll do is I'll go to 5, I'll go to 2 on the x2 axis, and I can just represent this dot here. Is this the correct representation of this point 5 comma 2? Yes or no? So this dot, right? This dot on this coordinate plane, right? This is a coordinate plane, and on this plane, I'm just trying to draw a dot. Let me call this dot as P point, and this is nothing but 5 comma 2. But is there a mathematical way to represent this dot? The question is there any mathematical representation of this dot? Right? Anyone who knows about it? What is the way to represent this dot? Yes, correct, Aravind. But how do you represent this dot? The way to represent this dot, guys, just try to understand this very carefully. The way to represent this dot, right? We are simply representing, we are just looking at point representation using something. And what is that something? We are just trying to represent this point mathematically using something. And what is that something? That something is nothing but vector. We are going to represent this point using something called as a vector. And how do we represent this point as a vector? We will say that this is nothing but P, which can be represented like this. We have 5 and 2, right? So this is how we represent a point using vector. This is called as a column vector by default. Column vector. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? This is how you represent a point mathematically. And how do we represent it? We represent it using a vector. And what is that by default vector? We use something called as a column vector by default. All right. Now, similarly, can anyone tell me how do I represent this point? Let's say I have another point here, which is nothing but maybe let's say Q. Let's say this is a point Q, which is nothing but we have a 1 here maybe. We have a maybe let's say 5 here. So how do I represent this point using a vector? Using vector, how do I represent this Q? No, just tell me the vector representation. So I will write it like this, right? So I will write on x1 axis, right? So this one is x1 component and this one is x2 component. All of you agree with this? 5 is, in this case of P, it is nothing but x1 component, and it is nothing but a x2 component. So where will I put x1 component? I will put x1 component first and then the x2 component. So what is x2 component? It is nothing but 5, right? Yes. So Avanish is having a very good question. The question is why only column and why not row? So this is the by default representation so that people generally use when they were coming up with this vector algebra. Okay, when they came up with this vector algebra, they used this kind of representation. Now, because of this representation, all the mathematics, all the things, all the formulas, that whatever you use in vector algebra, okay, they are going to work on if and only if you compute, if you take this P as a column vector. If you can represent this P or Q or whatever point you have as a column vector, then only this entire calculation mathematics will work. Right? Because see, if you represent P like this, if you represent P like this is also cool, right? This is also okay, but this is a row vector, right? This is a row vector, which is nothing but original vector ka transpose. Making sense, Avnish? It is the transpose of the original vector, right? They could have written it like this, right? They could have written it like this, but we can't do anything now, right? Because all the mathematics behind this vector algebra and everything has been written already. You can do these tweaks and you can make algorithms work, right? The only thing is you have to be sure that you use proper representations. How many are able to understand this? So this row vector is nothing but the transpose of the actual vector, right? So whenever somebody tells you a row vector, just understand that it is nothing but the transpose of the actual vector. And what is the actual vector? It is nothing but the representation of this point. It is nothing but the representation of this point. Now, if I have three-dimensional space, maybe let's say if I have x1, x2 dimension, and x3 dimension, right? And if I have a point in this dimension, now how many components will this point have? Can anyone tell me how many components will you have in a point if you have a three-dimensional plane? Three components, yes, right? You have three components, right? You will have x1 component, you will have x2 component, and you will have x3 component. And tell me one thing, is this the correct way to represent this three-dimensional point? Can I represent this point like this? X1 component, x2 component, x3 component, a 3x1 matrix, right? You can call it a 3x1 matrix, right? It is a column vector, right? Also known as column vector with three different components. Now, what if I ask you, see, as a human being, see, this is a very important thing. As a human being, can you go beyond three dimension? Can you go beyond three dimension? This is a 3D, right? Can you go beyond three dimensions? No, right? As a human being, we can't go beyond three dimensions. But what if I want to visualize? See, this is a visualization of three dimension, right? But what if I want to visualize? There is no way to visualize a 4-dimension or maybe more, right? We can't visualize 4 dimensions or maybe more, right? So in order to basically visualize these stuff, we have maths, right? The best part is we can write, let's say we have a 4-dimensional, maybe let's say theoretically speaking, let's say we have some 4 dimensions, right? First dimension is called as x1, second one x2, x3, and x4. And I want to have some points in these 4 dimensions. Can I write it mathematically? Is it possible to write a 4-dimensional point mathematically? Yes, right? We can write x1 component here, x2 component here, x3 component here, x4 component here, and the mathematics will work perfectly fine for these points. The only thing is we can't visualize it. We can't visualize it using graphs or some other way, right? Is it making sense to everyone? I hope this makes sense. Somebody was saying that in order to visualize the 4th dimension, you can use maybe let's say something, right? So like like drugs or something, bhang or something. Let's not do that. Yeah. So is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Using mathematics, you can go beyond 3 dimensions, right? We'll come to that, Aarti. We'll come to that. Just wait for some time, okay? All right. We are just looking at the basics. We'll come to all the things where we are actually using vector algebra while talking about machine learning. Okay, so tomorrow maybe I'll try to show you how to solve a machine learning problem just by using vector algebra. I won't use even a single thing outside vector algebra. Is that fine? Cool. So for today, let's try to only learn vector algebra. Tomorrow we'll try to solve that problem. Okay, so it is all theoretical today. So let's try to complete this as soon as possible. All right. Now talking about the next topic. The next topic. What was the first topic of vector algebra? The first topic was point representation. point representation using vectors. We have already covered this, right? And what is that vector which can help us represent the points? It is nothing but a column vector. By default, we'll use something called as a column vector to represent the points. Now, the second topic for today is something called as distance. What if I want to calculate the distance of a point from origin? What do I do? How do I do that? How do I calculate the distance? We know what is this point, right? Since we can plot this point on this coordinate plane, we would know the coordinates, right? We would know the coordinates. Maybe let's say P is nothing but A, B. Let's say P is nothing but A on this axis and B on this axis, right? We want to calculate the distance of 0, 0, right? We want to calculate the distance of origin 0, 0 from this P. Now, can anyone tell me, is this the distance? Is this the distance? Yes or no? So what is the distance? Looking at this thing, what should be the distance? It should be a straight line, right? It should be a straight line. We are talking about the distance of a point from origin. Yes, it should be a straight line. Correct. Right? How do you calculate this? How do you calculate this distance? This is a question mark. Okay, so many people are giving the solutions. Now, how many of you know that this is like a right angle triangle? Do you see that this is nothing but a right angle triangle? Everyone can see this. Now, in right angle triangle, what kind of property have you seen? You know that d square will be equal to side 1. Let's call it side 1. Let's call it side 2. Right? So what is it equal to? Side 1 square. Yes, Pythagoras theorem. Right? Side 1 square plus side 2 square. Is this the correct? What do we say? Yes, correct. Right? So we have this theorem, right? Let's not go into the fancy stuff. Let's just stick to the basics, right? Everyone knows about the Pythagoras theorem, right? So this is something that you have, right? Now, what is the next thing? Let's understand what is side 1. Okay, let's try to understand what is side 1. And what is that side 1? Can anyone tell me? It is nothing but the distance from origin to this point is nothing but B, right? We already know that this side is nothing but B length, right? Similarly, we know that it is nothing but A, right? We know that this is nothing but A. Do you see that side 1 is nothing but B in this scenario and A in this scenario, right? So can I say D square is nothing but equal to B square plus A square? And I can put this under root here and remove that square from there, right? So this is the formula for the distance of a point from a origin. Everyone agrees to this? Everyone agrees to this thing, yes or no? Now let me show you some magic. Okay, let me show you some magic. What if I ask you, so this is a two-dimensional thing, right? What if I ask you that there is a point, I have a point in three-dimensional plane, which looks like this, A, B, C. Can you compute the distance of this point from origin? Can you compute the distance of point from this origin, from the origin? It is easy, right? It is easy. You just say that the distance of point from the origin is going to be nothing but, just try to generalize this equation. Just try to generalize. It is nothing but equal to A square plus B square plus C square. Just try to take the squared sum of all the values, all the components. It is nothing but equal to your distance from origin for any point in 3 dimensions. Now see, 3 dimensions was still we can visualize it, right? We can still visualize 3 dimensions. What if somebody asks me to calculate the distance of a point which is a 5-dimensional point A, B, C, D, E from origin? Easy. Just try to generalize the same equation, right? Just try to write the same equation, A square plus B square plus C square plus D square plus E square, right? This is the equation of a point from origin, the distance of point from origin, right? Distance of point starting from origin for any 5-dimensional plane also. Is it making sense to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Let me try to generalize this for all of you, right? Let's try to generalize this entire thing for all of you. Let's call this, instead of A, B, let me call it X1, X2. Let me call it X1, X2, right? So if I call it X1, X2, what will be the 2-dimensional equation? It will be equal to D of under root X1 square plus X2 square. Yes or no? I'm so sorry. right? Similarly, in 3 dimension, let me call it x1, let me call it x2, let me call it x3. So what will be the value? The distance will be equal to nothing but x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square, right? Similarly, in 5 dimensions, easy, right? Easy. If I can represent all these points as x1, x2, x3, x4, and x5, I can say that this is nothing but x1 square plus x2 square plus so on up to x5 square. Now, do you see some pattern here? Can I write it like this? D is nothing but, if I want to compute the distance of any point from the origin, irrespective of in which dimension it is, I can do something like this. I can take an under root. What is this thing? I'm taking the sum of all the points, all the components, right? Sum of all the components xi, where I is going from 1 to d, capital D dimension. The number of dimensions, just try to do something like this. You will get the distance of a point from the origin. How many are able to understand this concept now? So I missed something here. So it should be a square. Yes, Samyak. This is a mathematical proof. Maybe you can go and check around. Okay. So whatever you have in 2 dimension, you can. So it has been proved that from 1 dimension you can come to 2 dimension, from 2 to 3, and then 3 to all these dimensions. It can be generalized like this. Is this making sense to everyone? Now, should we go to the next concept? Let's go to the next concept now. Okay. So the next concept for today is, right? The next concept for today is distance between 2 points. Between 2 points. And we all know the point is nothing but a vector, right? A vector. In simple terms, a column vector, right? Let's try to calculate the distance between 2 points. Right, let's try to calculate the distance between 2 points. Let's take an example. Let's say we have a 2-dimensional thing here, right? Let's say we have a 2-dimensional thing here. We have a point somewhere here. Maybe let me call this point as P, right? Let's call another point as Q, right? So let's call this point as A comma B, and similarly this point as C comma D. Okay, in this case, this is A, this is B, this is C, and this is D. So if I want to calculate the distance between 2 points, I hope now everyone understands that this straight line is nothing but representing the distance, right? It should be this straight line. Yes or no? Everyone agrees with this? It should be this straight line, right? Now, what is the distance? What is this distance between these 2 lines? These 2 points. What is this D equal to? Can anyone think of it? Let's not go into the formulas directly. Okay, so let's try to compute the formulas on our own. Okay, instead of remembering the formulas, it is better to maybe understand how the formulas are derived. Okay, it is all mathematical, it is all geometrical, right? We can always derive these small formulas, basic formulas. Now, do you see? Let me try to draw some lines here. Okay, so let me try to draw some lines. Yes, let me try to draw that, Shweta. So we have A here, we have C here, we have D here, right? So and B here. Now we are interested in computing this pink line, right? We are interested in computing this pink line. And do you see again now we have something like a right angle triangle, right? We have again this right angle triangle, right? Now we want to calculate this D given this right angle triangle. Now we just need to understand what is this side 1. We need to understand what is this side 2 again. If we can understand what is side 1 and side 2, it is all easy, right? It is all easy to compute all these values. Now what is given to me? Given to me is nothing but AB and CD. We are given with these 2 points. I just want to calculate the distance between these 2 points. How do I do that now? How do I do that? So first of all, what is side 1? What is side 1? Can anyone tell me what is side 1? Side 1 is equal to nothing but, do you see this is C? This entire length is C and this entire length is A, right? This entire length is A and this entire length is C. So what will be this side? What will be this side 1? Yes, correct. C minus A, right? Side 1 is nothing but C minus A, right? Similarly, what is side 2? This entire thing is B. This entire thing is B and this entire thing is D, right? So what will be this length? This length will be equal to B minus D, correct? Side 2 is nothing but equal to B minus D. So I just now have to put everything into Pythagoras theorem, right? So we know that d square is going to equal to side 1 square. So what is side 1? Side 1 is nothing but a minus c minus a square, right? Plus side 2 square. So what is side 2? b minus d ka whole square, right? And we can bring this under this square, right? We can remove this square and put under root here, right? So this is something that we have, right? So this is your distance between two different data points, right? If you want to find what is the distance between two different data points, you can compute the distance using these two, this formula. Is it fine with everyone? Yes, Lucifer, correct? Is it fine with everyone? All right. Now the question is, let's try to understand that question. Okay. All right. So everyone is okay. So let's say we have a three-dimensional thing. Okay. Let's say we have a three-dimensional thing. Okay. Now in this three-dimensional thing, yes, I'm coming back to that example just by using these three dimensions, right? So let's say I have a point here, I have a point here, and I have a point somewhere else. Let me call this point as P. Let me call this point as Q, right? Let's say this point is having some coordinates, right? So there are going to be how many coordinates for this P point? How many coordinates will be there for this P point? Three coordinates, right? Because it exists in a three-dimensional plane, right? It needs to have three coordinates, right? So let's call that coordinate as A1, comma B1, right? Comma C1. All right. Is it fine with everyone? I'm calling these coordinates as A1, B1, C1. Similarly for Q, let's call it as A2, comma B2, comma C2. Is that fine with everyone? Yes or no? Now, what I want to do is I want to calculate the distance between these 2 points. I want to calculate the distance between these 2 points in 3 dimensions. What I can do is let's go back to our previous example. What I just did here in this previous example, I took one element, one component of first point, I subtract it with first component of the second point, right? Similarly, I took another component of this point, I subtracted it with this component of this point, right? And I took the square and I added this entire thing. Now we have how many components? Now we have 3 components. Now, since we have 3 components, what we can do is we can simply say that the distance between these 2 points is going to be nothing but equal to under root of, right? A1 minus A2 square plus B1 minus B2 square plus C1 minus C2 square for this point, right? So this is the under root inside the entire under root. Is it clear to everyone? Is this clear to everyone? So how I basically did this entire thing, this component, then this component, and then this component. Now, similarly, whatever points you are given with, right? For example, let's say somebody tells you, yes, Avanish. Let's say somebody tells you that 5, 2, 1, 3, 4. How many dimensions do you see in this point? How many dimensions do you see? 10, 1, 2, 11, 3. Right? 5 dimensions, right? There are 5 rows and 1 column. There are again 5 rows and 1 column. Can anyone tell me what is the distance between, how do I write the distance between these 2 points? The distance between these 2 points is going to be nothing but equal to under root of 5 minus 10 whole square plus 2 minus 1 whole square plus 1 minus 2 whole square plus 3 minus 11 whole square plus 4 minus 3 whole square. Now, everyone understood how do we calculate the distance between two data points? Easy, right? Take the first component, subtract it with the first component, second component with the second component, third with the third, fourth with the fourth, fifth with the fifth, and so on up to D components. Just try to do something like this. You will get the distance between the two data points. Yes. Yes, Avanish. Is it fine with everyone? Are you all able to understand till this point? Cool. Any doubts, any confusions? If there is even a single confusion, just let me know. I'll try to resolve that confusion and then we'll try to maybe move forward. Okay, MI, can you please change your name so that I know? or just tell me your name. I'll try to change it. Okay, so you have already done it. Okay. All right. So no. C1 minus C2 is not the denominator. Let me try to write it on the right hand side. Yes, Shubham will come to that. So C1 minus C2 whole square. Is that fine now, Samya? Okay. See, tomorrow we will use only these concepts. Whatever we learn today, we'll use all these concepts with a couple of more concepts in order to solve some problems in ML. Okay. And we will name those solutions. So whatever we see, I'll try to name these things as some machine learning algorithm names so that you can relate to machine learning if you already know some machine learning. Okay. Cool. So what are the topics that we have already covered now in this vector algebra? We have covered 3 topics, right? The first topic was point representation using vector, right? We know that now it is nothing but the column vector, right? Similarly, we have seen another topic called as distance of a point from origin, correct, Lucifer? The third topic is nothing but distance of a point, a distance between 2 points, actually, distance between 2 points, right? Yes, correct. Right. So these are the 3 topics that we have seen till now, right? Now let's try to learn some other topic. Okay. So let's try to learn one more topic. Okay. So that topic is called as how to perform some algebraic, some operations, right? How to perform some operations on vectors. Let's say we have 2 vectors, A, B, C, right? Let me call that A1, B1, C1. Let's say we have another vector A2, B2, C2, right? So let's call this vector as P, and let's call this vector as Q. So if I want to add P and Q, how do I add it? Can anyone tell me the answer? How do I add P and Q? Yes, A1 plus A2, B1 plus B2, C1 plus C2. Yes, correct. Everyone is correct. All the corresponding elements will try to add them. Yes, element wise addition will do that. Right. Now, what if I want to multiply these 2 arrays? These two metrics. What if I want to multiply these 2 metrics? Let's talk about multiplication because that is the most important part here. Multiplication. How do I do the multiplication between the 2 arrays? Two vectors. See, in order to multiply the 2 vectors, we have 2 concepts. How many have learned something called as physics? You might have heard of something called as dot product, right? Dot product and cross product. Right? You have already learned about vectors and everything already, right? So it is just the matter of time that I'm just reminding you all these concepts, right? So in machine learning, we won't use cross product. Okay, in machine learning, we won't use cross product. We'll only use dot product. So let's only try to concentrate on the dot product. So how do I represent the dot product? I will simply say that we have a vector P, we have a vector Q. I want to multiply them using a dot product. So I'll just put a dot here. Okay, we can also put these vector symbols on the top of this P and Q to demonstrate that these are nothing but the two vectors, right? And how do we compute the dot product of these 2 vectors? See, in order to compute the dot product between these 2 vectors, what I'll do is I'll just try to multiply the components, right? Each component A1 into A2 plus B1 into B2 plus C1 into C2. Right? Do you see what I'm doing? I'm just trying to do a component wise multiplication of these two vectors. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Yes or no? Now, can anyone write it in the format of, can anyone try to write it in the format of matrices? Can I write this thing as A1, A2, A1, B1, C1, A1, B1, C1. This is the first matrix. can I use a matrix multiplication like this? A2, B2, C2. So what is this? It is nothing but 3 cross 1. This is nothing but 1 cross 3. So what is this entire thing? What is this entire thing? Do you see, if I try to multiply this, what will I get? What will I get? First row with first column? Yes? Yes or no? Yes, correct. You will get a 3 cross 3 metric, right? You will get a 3 cross 3 metric. So this is not the correct way of multiplying them, right? And I was just showing you some incorrect way of multiplying these two metrics, right? Since we know that this is the output, in order to get this output, what you can do, you can simply write A1, B1, C1, matrix multiplication with A2, B2, C2. Now try to see it. So it is nothing but 3 cross, 1 cross 3, 1 cross 3, and this is nothing but 3 cross 1, right? Now, if I try to multiply these two matrices, what will I get? I will multiply this row with this column, right? A1 into A2 plus B1 into B2 plus C1 into C2. This is the matrix multiplication, right? How many are able to understand this part? Everyone able to understand this part? Yes or no? Cool. Now, do you see that this outcome can be produced if I write it like this? In simple terms, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to say P vector dot product Q vector is nothing but equal to take the P vector as it is and multiply it with Q vector ka transpose. Sorry, not Q vector ka transpose. Just try to multiply Q vector with this P vector ka transpose. Right? So this is the transpose, right? This is the transpose format, whereas this is the actual format of a vector, right? Are you all able to understand this part? Are you guys able to understand this part? This multiplication is nothing but the matrix multiplication here, right? Matrix multiplication. If you want to calculate dot product using matrix multiplication, this is how you can do that, right? This is how you can do that, right? This is the formula for dot product. Right? What is the another formula for dot product? Let's also talk about that. Okay, let's also talk about that formula. Everyone understood this formula? Everyone is able to appreciate and understand this formula? Yes, correct, Aarti Sahu. That is a very, very important what do we say, observation. If you try to multiply these two vectors, you are going to get a single value, a scalar, right? You are going to get a scalar, not a vector, right? A vector is going to be a collection of values, whereas scalar is nothing but a single value. Making sense to everyone, guys? Do you see it is nothing but a scalar, right? Not a vector. Yes, 1 cross 1, which is nothing but a single value. Correct? It is a single value. Cool, perfect. Right? So let me try to again talk about one more case. Let's say we have a vector, right, which is nothing but represented like this. Let's say there is a vector A which is represented like this. Let's say we are talking about n dimensions now, right? Let's talk about n dimensions. We have A1, A2, A3, and so on up to AN. Okay, I'm using a mix of different notations. Please do not get confused with the notation. Just try to look at the concept. Okay. So let's say we have B1, B2, B3, and so on up to Bn. So do you see this is nothing but n dimensions? Again, it is nothing but n dimensions. Correct? Now, if I want to calculate A vector ka dot product with B vector, how do I do that? I simply take the first component of A, multiply it with the first component of B. Add, take second component of A, multiply it with the second component of B, third component of A, third component of B, and so on up to nth component of A, multiply it with the nth component of B. Everyone able to appreciate this concept? Everyone able to understand this concept? Yes or no? Now, can I write this formula? Can I write this formula like this? A vector dot B vector is nothing but equal to AI into BI right? I can be 1, 2, 3, 4, anything, right? So we are summating all these AIs and BIs from 1 to n different dimensions. Can I write it like this also? I hope this is making sense to everyone, right? We have seen two different equations now. This is the first equation in order to calculate the dot product. The second equation is nothing but A vector dot B vector. It is nothing but equal to, if you want to do a matrix multiplication, you simply say A vector, so A matrix ka transpose into B matrix, right? So if you want to do the dot product between the matrix, right, between considering them as the matrix, you can do this thing as well. Yes, correct, Lucifer. It is a vector in n dimensions. Yes. How many are able to now appreciate and understand this concept of vector multiplication, dot product? Everyone able to understand it? Fine, perfect. Now, moving on to the next concept. Let me try to give you another equation here. Okay, so let me not go into the details of that equation. Let's only try to talk about this third equation. Okay, so before going into the third equation, let me try to draw a diagram. So what we are saying is, we have two vectors, right? Let's say this is the coordinate plane. We have two vectors. We have a vector A and we have a vector B, right? So this is a vector A and this is a vector B, right? This is a dot A point and B point. We can represent these 2 points as the vector A and vector B. Correct? Yes or no? Cool. Now what I want is, I want to calculate the dot product between these two vectors. I want to calculate the dot product between these two vectors. And how can I, what is the third way of computing the dot product between these two vectors? What you can do is, you can calculate the length of A. Do you know how we have already seen the length of A? Can anyone recall how to calculate the length of A? I can write it like this: length of A. This is nothing but length of B. This is how mathematically you represent it. What is the length of A? Yes, correct, Aarti. So length of A, right? It is nothing but the length of A vector, which is nothing but distance of A vector from origin, right? Similarly, what is B vector? The length of B vector can be represented like this, right? We have this as length of B vector, which is nothing but distance of B vector from origin. I hope everyone is able to understand this concept. Yes or no? Perfect. Now, do you also see that there is some angle between these two vectors? Can we call this angle as theta? It can be anything, right? You can use any angle here, right? Yes, correct, Shweta, correct, Dilip. So the formula that I'm coming to is nothing but, just take length of A vector, right? Just try to calculate the length of A vector, calculate length of B vector, multiply them, and multiply with the cos of theta, where theta is nothing but the angle between A and B, Clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Cool. Perfect. Now, may I ask one question from all of you? So let's try to do a small exercise. Perfect. Fine. Is it fine with everyone? So it is the formula, Lucifer. Just try to maybe see how we come up with this formula. I'm not going to the proof of the formula. Just try to go to Google. Okay, try to search for the proof of this formula. Okay, it is very easy proof. Okay, just try to look into Google. Cool. Let's try to solve a question. Given 2 points, right? Point P, which is nothing but 0, 1, and point Q, which is nothing but 1, 0. calculate angle between P and Q. Can anyone try to calculate the angle between P and Q, given that we have learned so many things now? Yes, Aarti will not go into the cross product for now. Yes, Tony, just try to make sure that you watch the recorded session, right? So just do that, okay? Now, try to calculate the angle between P and Q. Okay, many people are saying 45 degrees, some of the people are saying 90 degree. Okay, 90 degree. Okay, so even if I try to look at it visually, see, it is a two-dimensional thing, right? I can directly look into it visually. I can see that this is nothing but x-axis, this is nothing but y-axis. P point is nothing but 0 at x-axis and 1 at y-axis, right? So it will look something like this. P point will look something like this, right? It is 0 at x-axis and 1 at y-axis. Similarly, Q point will look something like this, 1 at x-axis and 0 at y-axis. Now, do you see this is the vector P and this is the vector Q, right? So what is the angle between these two vectors? It is nothing but 90 degree, right? Now, let's try to see how to calculate this thing using the formulas that we have seen. We already know that P vector dot product with Q vector is nothing but equal to P colength into Q colength, right, into cos theta. We already know this, right? So we also know the length of P, right? We can calculate the length of P. How do I calculate it? It is nothing but 1. Isn't it equal to 1? Isn't it equal to 1? Yes or no? How do I calculate the length of P? Length of P is nothing but equal to under root of 0 square plus 1 square, which is nothing but equal to 1. Similarly, length of Q is nothing but equal to 1 square plus 0 square, which is nothing but again equal to 1, right? So we have 1 into cos theta. We are interested in finding this theta, right? And this is nothing but P vector dot Q vector equal to this thing, right? We already know P and Q, right? We already know P and Q. Can I write this as P transpose Q, right? Dot product can be written as P transpose Q, right? So it is nothing but 1 into cos theta, right? And P transpose Q can be written as 0 into 1, right? Plus 1 into 0, right? Equal to 1 into cos theta. 1 into cos theta. And cos theta here is nothing but equal to, can anyone tell me what is the cos theta equal to? It is equal to 0, right? And theta is equal to cos inverse 0. And what is cos inverse 0? It is nothing but 90 degrees. Okay, just try to go back to your trigonometry a little bit. You would understand why cos inverse 0 is nothing but 90 degrees. Is it clear to everyone? Yes or no? Right, basic mathematics, right? So basic mathematics from 9th and 10th class. Cool. Now let's look at the last concept for today. Okay, let's look at the last concept for today, after which we don't need any other things. We can directly come up with all these things, okay? All right, so somebody is asking, why is this thing equal to, this step equal to 0 into 1 and 1 into 0? So see, what is P transpose? We already know P is nothing but 0 comma 1, right? And Q is nothing but equal to 1 comma 0, right? So P can be represented as 0 1, Q can be represented as 1 0, right? How do I do a dot product between these two vectors? In order to do that, I am saying that let's use this formula, right? We have already seen this formula, right? So let me go up. See, equation number 2, dot product between two vectors can be written as A transpose into B, right? So what I can do is I can write 0 1 transpose of it, multiply by 1 0. If I try to do this, it is nothing but 0 into 1 plus 1 into 0. Now is it clear why this is equal to 0 into 1 and 1 into 0? Cool. Now everyone understood this entire thing. Lucifer, I'm not able to understand this. Where we can write as cos inverse. All right. So let's look into another concept called as unit vector. I think you were talking about this thing, right? So yes, we can write it as cos inverse. So unit vector, right? So let's try to talk about unit vector. The unit vector is represented like this. Okay, so if I have, let's say, some vector like this, if I have some vector like this, maybe let's call this as p vector, right? If I have a vector like this, if I want to calculate what is the unit vector for p vector, right? It is going to be the most important property of a unit vector is nothing but the length of the unit vector, right? The length of the unit vector, it is represented by the cap. Okay, it is represented by the cap, and the length of this unit vector is always going to be equal to 1. All right, is it making sense to everyone? The length of the unit vector is always equal to 1. Now, don't you think if I want to calculate the unit vector for p, won't it be equal to the actual p vector's length, or actual p vector divided by the length of the p vector, divided by the length of the p vector? Yes or no? Right? We are interested in finding the unit vector, right? So in order to find the unit vector, we can simply do this thing. Making sense to everyone? Yes or no? Yes, correct, Dilip. Right? So let's take an example. Let's take an example. Let's say we have something like this. Let's say we have some vector, call it p, right? Let's call it p, and this vector is having, let's say, maybe 3 on this axis and maybe 3 again on this, or maybe 2 on this axis. Okay, so 3 comma 2. In simple terms, we have a p vector which looks like this. Mathematically, we can represent it like this: a column vector 3 comma 2, right? And I want to compute the unit vector for p, which is nothing but equal to p vector divided by the length of p vector. And what is the length of p vector? Can anyone give me the length quickly? So it is going to be equal to under root, length of p vector is going to be equal to under root 3 square plus 2 square. 3 square is nothing but 9, 2 square is nothing but 4, 9 plus 4 is nothing but 13, under root 13, right? Yes or no? Yes, square root of 13, correct, right? So we have p vector is what, right? So p vector is what? So p cap is going to be equal to, in this case, 3 divided by under root 13 and 2 divided by under root 13, right? This is the value of p cap. Now, what are we saying? From the theorem, we already know, from something like this, we already know the length of the unit vector, right? Because it is a unit vector, the length will be equal to 1. Now, how do I calculate the length of this unit vector? In order to calculate the length, I can simply say that length of unit vector is nothing but equal to under root 3 by under root 13 ka square plus 2 by under root 13 ka square, right? This is going to be the length. Everyone agrees to this formula? We have already seen it, right? We have already seen it, distance of a vector from the point, from origin. This is going to be equal to 9 by 13, plus this is going to be equal to 4 by 13 ka under root, right? And this entire thing is going to be equal to 13 by 13 ka under root, and this entire thing is going to be equal to 1. Everyone agrees? Everyone agrees with this thing? P cap is called as unit vector. It is called as unit vector of P vector, okay? So this P cap is called as a unit vector. Fine? Cool. So it is C. Unit vector is going to be in the same direction. The only thing is, there are a couple of things you need to understand. Unit vector is going to be in the same direction of P vector, right? The P cap is going to be in the same direction of P vector. The only thing is its length is going to be 1. Its length is going to be equal to 1. Direction will be same as P vector. The only thing is length is going to be equal to 1. Are all these concepts clear to everyone? If all these concepts are clear, then only we can go to the last concept for today. Okay, we'll try to come up to the last concept. So let's try to talk about this concept. The concept is called as projection of one vector on another vector. What do I mean by that? Let's say I have a vector like this. Yes, Dilip, just go to the YouTube channel. You will get the recordings, okay? So I'll be putting all the links here. Let me try to do that. I hope you got the link, Dilip, right? Just go to these links. Just try to go to the last link. It is a YouTube channel link. Okay. Cool. So let's come back to the final topic for today, the projection topic, right? So now we'll try to learn something crazy here. Okay. So what is projection? First, let's try to understand that. Let's say we have two vectors. Okay. Let's say we have two vectors, right? Let's say x-axis and y-axis we have, and we have two vectors. Let's assume that. Okay. So let's say there is a vector like this, vector b. Okay. Let me call it as b vector. And let's say there is another vector called as vector A. Let's say I want to understand what is the projection of A vector on B vector, right? I want to understand what is the vectors A projection on B vector. Do you see that this is going to be the projection of A vector on B vector, this pink vector? Everyone agrees with this thing? Everyone agrees with this thing that this is the projection of A vector on B vector, right? We are interested in finding the projection of A vector, right, on B vector. Projection simply means, see, if you have something like this, let's say you have something like this, and let's say you have some light ka source here, okay, light ka source maybe let's say sun here, right? So your shadow will form somewhere here, right? Your shadow will form somewhere here like this, right? So this is the meaning of projection. Okay, cool. Now, how do you calculate this projection? How do you calculate this projection of A vector on B vector? So actually, I think we should write it like this: projection of A vector on B vector. How do you calculate it? Can you just use the concepts that we learned today and try to solve this problem? What if I want to compute this vector? I want to know what is this vector. Can anyone give me some hints? How do I compute this vector? So let me try to give you a hint, okay? So let's try to think of it. Let me first try to bring up this entire image somewhere here, okay? So let me try to redraw this thing. So let's say this is the B vector. This is the B vector, and we have some A vector like this. And I'm interested in finding the projection of this entire thing, A vector, on this B vector. Okay, so I want to understand what is this vector over here, and we know that this is nothing but the 90-degree angle. All right, so do you all agree? So this is something that I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just trying to recreate whatever we have there. So I'm just trying to rotate that in order to show you what it actually looks like. Okay, now how do I solve this? First of all, the most important thing, the most basic thing that you need to know is this is the right angle triangle again, right? This is the right angle triangle again, and we already know that we are trying to see, we are trying to compute. Let's say this is the distance d. Let's say this is a distance d. What I want to do is I want to try to understand this very carefully. What will be this white colored vector? This white colored vector will be nothing but b vector ka cap, right? B vector ka unit vector multiply by this d. Isn't the vector equal to this thing? Isn't the projection of A vector on B vector equal to this thing? How many are able to understand this? Because see, we already know B. Can't we compute B cap? Right? We can easily compute B cap, right? And the best thing about B cap is its length is going to be equal to 1. Right? Very simple stuff, right? Only the way to observe is should be clear, right? You should be able to observe this thing. Everyone able to understand this part? If everyone is able to understand this part, then we'll try to talk about how to compute D, right? Because see, we already know that B cap is nothing but equal to take the B vector and divide it by length of B vector, okay, into D, right? So this is something. All right, so I will try to repeat this thing. See, Shubham, in order to create any vector, what do you want? In order to create any vector, what do you want? There are two things that we want in order to create a vector, right? One is length of that vector. Another thing is we want the direction of that vector. Yes or no? We want these two things in order to create any vector, right? Shubham, are you able to understand this? Cool. Now, if you want these two things, what we are trying to do is we have a vector, we have b vector, right? We have a vector and we have b vector. We want to find what is this projection of a vector on b vector, right? Now, do you see this projection of a vector on b vector is in the same direction in the b of the b vector? This projection and the b vector are in the same direction. Yes or no, Shubham? So how can we get this direction? We can get this direction very easily just by computing b vectors cap, right? B vectors unit vector. We already have b vector. We can very easily get the unit vector for b vector, which is nothing but b cap. Let me represent it as b cap. And then we have to multiply this thing with the distance of or the length of this entire vector. Okay, somehow I need to come up with this length, right? And the direction I can come up with this b cap. All right, we'll come to that, Shweta, just 2 minutes. Now, is it clear, Shubham? Is this part clear, Shubham? So this is going to be equal to nothing but projection of a vector on b vector. Right. Now let's try to compute this thing. Okay, let's try to compute this thing because this is the only missing part here. We already know this entire thing. We now need to only know d, right? So how do we do that? Let's first try to create this thing again so that you all are able to understand it, right? This part is d. This is your b vector. This is your a vector, right? Now, what we know is we know that this angle is nothing but theta, right? We know that this angle is nothing but theta, and we also know that cos theta is going to be equal to, do you all know that it is nothing but equal to adjacent over hypotenuse? Just try to go back to your geometry, to your trigonometry. You will understand this, right? This is the equation of cos theta, right? It is equal to this thing. And what is adjacent? Adjacent is nothing but d, right? Theta's adjacent is nothing but d. And what is hypotenuse? Hypotenuse is nothing but this thing, right? Oh, sorry. What I'm saying. So hypotenuse is nothing but this thing, right? So it is nothing but equal to length of a vector. It is nothing but length of a vector. Right? No worries, Lucifer. Even if you are poor with trigonometry, you just need to know that these are the things, right? These are the equations. That's it. Even if you don't know the equation, just go back to Google and try to see what is the equation of cos theta. That's it. Okay. All right. Now this is something that we have, right? This is something that we have. Now what is d? D is nothing but length of a vector. From this equation, d is nothing but length of a vector into cos theta, where theta is nothing but the angle between a and b. Everyone able to understand this equation? Everyone able to understand this equation? Guys, are you all able to understand this equation? All right. If you are able to understand this equation, then there is nothing left here, right? We have solved the entire thing. Right? So, let me try to maybe simplify this equation again. Can anyone tell me what is cos theta? Or instead of that, let's do one more thing here, right? We already now know that d is nothing but equal to length of a vector into cos theta, where theta is nothing but the angle between a and b, right? So can I divide this equation? So if I have 3, right, isn't 3 equal to 3 into 5 by 5? Can I write something like this? 3 is equal to 3 into 5 by 5? Yes or no? Right? So what I'll do is I'll try to write this equation as this equation cos theta into length of b vector divided by length of b vector. I'll write something like that, okay? Because this is going to be equal, I'm just dividing it by length of b vector, right? So what is this entire thing equal to? It is nothing but equal to, if you see this part can be rewritten as length of a vector into length of b vector cos theta, right? And this entire thing is divided by length of b vector. And the thing that you see on the numerator, it is nothing but a vector dot product b vector divided by length of B vector, right? So this is nothing but your D, right? And we already know that projection of B vector or of A vector on B vector is nothing but equal to B cap into D, where B cap is nothing but B vector divided by length of B vector into A dot B divided by length of B. Is this clear to everyone? So this is a little trickier part, right? So if you follow along all the steps, you will be able to reach to this part. Okay, if you understand all the concepts that were taught today, machine learning is like a cakewalk for all of you. Okay, so I can make sure of that. So if all these things are clear to everyone, if even if you are facing maybe let's say 20% doubts, just make sure to maybe revise the lecture. Okay, within 2 hours I'll try to make sure that the lecture is uploaded on YouTube. Just try to revise the lecture and just try to come tomorrow prepared with all the things that we have already covered. Okay, whatever we have covered today, you only need that for tomorrow's lecture. Yes, correct, Lucifer. You should learn all these things and you should listen to this entire lecture again. Is it clear to everyone? Yes or no? If this is clear, then we are done with the today's session. Cool. Any doubts, any confusions, anything that you want to maybe share? So everyone has filled that form where using which you are going to get the certificates. Yes or no? Yes, tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow we'll try to see how